Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope that you're all doing well. I am also doing well. Yesterday, I put the podcast out for patrons. It is still just a YouTube video at the moment. I still have to figure out how I want to rip that audio and then put it up to the podcast aggregators, but that's going to happen by Thursday. But today I have an extremely busy day. So I'm going to stream for an hour and then I have to walk my dog and then somehow find time to eat something. And then I have a Warhammer game. And then immediately I have to go to a meeting at my ITC team captain's house because we need to discuss the details about our trip because we're all going out to play Warhammer in Grand Forks, British Columbia, at our favorite wargaming event of the year, Boardroom Brawl, which is sold out, and I'm so excited that the tournament organizers are doing well with this. So excellent. So today is a busy day, and I thought what I would do is I would do a little bit more work on this guy here. I basically just have to do his bone carapace bits. He's got a little bit here, a little bit on his little tummy there, and then he's got some down at the bottom of the tentacles. So I'm going to work on putting that first layer back on. So right now this is Xandri Dust with a Karaberg Crimson Wash, and I'm just going to go back on with Xandri Dust to clean up that wash and set us up for our sort of cell shaded look that we're going on with everything else. You can kind of see the cell shading happening on these wings back here, and I painted those a little bit different than the bone color. I basically mixed like the pink with the bone color and then added highlights into it to create this, and I think it's going to make it look more dynamic than just having like the three colors. It's like adding the pink membrane around the brain is kind of going to break it up a little bit too. So and this is just sort of happening organically and I'm following my heart. So we'll see what it ends up like once I put this Xandri Dust back on. And then I do have these two little cuties that I have to paint too. I mixed all the colors for the brains, so I thought that I would just paint all the brains all at once. So their blue matter is now painted, but I do have to do all the rest with them. So I might do those on the next stream. We'll see how I'm feeling about it. Okay, so also pray for me because it's really hot and dry again, so hopefully the paint will be workable. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shake up this Xandri Dust, which is one of my favorite colors actually. I know people talk a lot of trash about Citadel, but their neutrals and browns are some of my favorites. While I'm shaking, I'm going to go over to the chat. Hello, Mr. Fish. Happy flipping Monday. How are you doing? Hey, Rob, how's it going? My buddy is from Grand Forks. Who's your buddy? Like, is it a Warhammer buddy? Because Grand Forks is very, very tiny, so, I mean, if he's from Grand Forks and plays Warhammer, he's probably at that event. I love the color choices on the blue brains. Thanks. So this is not my color scheme. This is the color scheme for Alex McDougall, who is my Warhammer mentor. And I almost bought the Leviathan box because I wanted to paint some NIDs, and then I was like, why? I could just ask Alex if I could paint some of his stuff. So saving me a lot of money, and I get to paint this guy, which was like what I wanted to paint in the entire box anyway. So very excited. But yes, the red and kind of bone color that we're going to be doing on here, that's his, I guess it's kind of like burgundy. I don't know what you'd call it, but so those are his colors. The blue he uses for like psychic stuff, and then he also has a green that he uses for like things that spit acid and whatnot. So this is his color scheme. I really can't take credit for it at all. I cannot. Will not. Alright, so now I'm going to take my old crappy brush and I'm just going to drop some of this And I'm almost out, but I love this color so much that I have another pot of it waiting on standby for when this one finally does just... I can't scrape any more out of it. And I am going to need to thin this paint down quite a bit because, like I said, it's very warm and dry here. Also, in order to create that kind of cell-shaded look, we need to keep the paint kind of thin. Okay. So, I'm gonna go in with this very tiny brush, and I'm gonna, because I'm not looking forward to doing it, I'm gonna do his tummy bits first. And in fact, I don't know if you can see, there's this little band here. For those ones, I'm actually going to use a bit of XV88. And then the ones that have more light on them, I'll just go straight in with the Xandri. Or I might mix a little bit of Xandri in with whatever's left of this XV88. Because that's what I did underneath, is it's all XV88 and then mixed up highlights to Xandri dust from there. So, let's go. Queen Bee, hello. Guess who got the Bloodborne board game? Well, I would assume you, because it's not me. Which I went to a game night at the local game store in the next town over. I went last week, and somebody was there playing that game, and it looked really fun. Not gonna lie. He moved stateside as a teen, so no, he wouldn't be part of the Warhammer scene there, unfortunately. So he just ran across the border. I think you can actually do that from Grand Forks. It's very far south from me. I gotta really, eat something. I gotta find the time to eat something today. I had a game on Saturday. It was the Orc versus Orc matchup, and I was playing Elite Orcs. My list is so strange. And he was playing, I guess you'd say, the competitive archetype right now, just a ton of infantry, and some mech guns. And I got kind of a bad draw on the cards, which is whatever. It is what it is. And then I misdeployed Gaz. I put him a bit too far to one flank, and I think I should try to put him more, what's the word I'm looking for? More centrally in my deployment to give him a few more options on where he can go. So that was my biggest takeaway from that game. And that was my first game sort of branching out into the competitive players again. Because I've been just playing really fun and fluffy Age of Sigmar for over a year. So that was my first sort of jump back into that group. And it was fine. We had a really fun game. Orcs, Orc on Orc is always ridiculous, so... And I learned some stuff, so I think it was a good game. In other fun miniature news, my partner revealed to me that they have a box of unopened nids they got when they were younger that they said I could paint. That's amazing. And like, are they plastic or are they metal? I'm so interested now. His mom married a trucker and moved to Washington, but up in Elk, Washington, which is also about as far away from the border as Grand Forks. Gotcha. Okay, so now I'm going to mix a little bit of this Sandry dust into that XV88 to do just a little bit of highlights on these little bits down here. But I'm not going to go like super crazy on this, so... Also, it is Mini Wargamer Dave's birthday today. I'm sure he's inundated with birthday wishes, but it's always nice to tell people happy birthday. I sent him a little message. I'm curious too. Are you a big birthday person? Like, is that like a big deal to you to like celebrate your birthday? I feel for me it's not like a big deal. I never really had a lot of friends, so I never really had a lot of like big parties or anything like that. Um, so it was never really like a big deal to me, but um, you know, I like to wish other people happy birthday because I do know that like for others it's a huge deal. Yeah, the only way that I could get people to hang out with me on my birthday was if I ran a Warhammer event last year. I've sort of like come to terms with the fact that like also like people that I thought were my friends are kind of just acquaintances, and um I think like I want friends so bad that I don't often know how to distinguish between like friends and friendly. That's been a huge thing that I've sort of had to come to terms with um this past, I guess I'd say 6 months or so. And yeah, like it's another thing that I think maybe because um, I might be on the spectrum, so that might be why I can't, um, very well sort of differentiate between somebody just being nice and somebody who actually considers themselves my friend. So like definitely trying to figure that stuff out and like relearn how to like be friendly and like not assume people are my actual friend. They said they got them sometime around 2013, 2015. So they're probably plastic then. I'm celebrating his birthday with building a demon prince for the kiddo. That sounds really fun, actually. Well, I guess it depends. Like, the only demon prince I ever put together, the kit was kind of bad. This is like really difficult to put together. To be honest, they haven't even told me what all they got, so it's a little surprise to me. It's like Christmas in July. I love it. Mr. Fish says, I wish they weren't, but birthdays are a big deal for me. Today's my younger cousin's birthday as well, and we're neighbors as kids, so always shared parties. Oh, that's so fun. I lived very far away from my family, like cousins and stuff. So I never really got to bond with them. And they were all very close knit because they all lived in the same extremely tiny town. So I always felt like a bit of the black sheep in my family. Very difficult to do on stream. Like, I'm fighting every urge in my body to like bring this up out of line of sight to see what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. I also got to help out with like I was basically like a teacher's assistant for a beginner miniature painting seminar that we did at Obsidian. That was really fun. I always find it really interesting when like when like you tell people that like they don't have to do it exactly like what the seminar says, like that you can do whatever you want. And they kind of look at you wide-eyed like, some of them I think get scared, like, what do you mean I can do whatever I want? And then other people are like, okay, I'm not going to listen to anything else. I think those people are like amazing. I love when people just sort of like throw all the art rules to the side and do their own thing. That just like fearless creation. I love that. And there are basically two types of people that I found at the painting classes that I've done. Is like the ones that are the fearless creators, and then the ones that like follow everything to a T. And there doesn't really seem to be like too much in the middle. Hey, Northern Knights Gaming, how's it going? I'm painting up this little cutie. I really enjoy painting these models, but I have no desire to actually play Tyranids, or Genestealer Cult. So it's just kind of handy to have a friend who plays both and then they don't really want to paint their own I mean, they do want to paint their own stuff, but they don't mind me taking stuff off their plate to paint for them. But I do think that Genestealer Cult are perhaps some of the most fun models to paint. Okay. So this guy is like very like wobbly on his base, so I'm just supporting him underneath. I find myself as both. I like to follow all the instructions so I know what it's intended to be, and then I can replicate it however I want after that. I hate following the instructions. Even like when building IKEA furniture, just like sitting there and reading the instructions for me is like so painful. Genestealer Cult was a close second choice for me when I got into it. I hear it's been getting a lot of buffs in 10th edition. So Genestealer Cult has always been a faction that is difficult to play. So it's not a faction that normally has a ton of representation in terms of players. However, they basically have rules that break all of the core mechanics and things. So really smart technical players have always been drawn to them. And so in my opinion, I think they are quite often a good faction in terms of win rate. I just feel like they take a lot of brain power to actually make the most use out of all of those like crazy like rules breaking abilities. But yeah, they're like Harlequins, right? Like they normally do well when people sort of commit themselves to learning them, or just commit themselves to playing well, learning to play well. Um, so they're usually pretty devastating. But yeah, but they have a steep learning curve there. So I'm trying to leave a little bit of that kind of pink color in the recesses. So we'll see how that looks. I might actually put a little bit more in there because it looks a little thin on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wash this a little bit, and I'm going to start working on this like this kind of crown while it dries. I don't know why it just looks like I didn't put enough wash there. Mr. Fish says, I'm definitely the friend that shows up and sees an end table in a box and asks, you gonna build that? Nice. Queen Bee says, that makes sense. I think the technical requirement is what made me choose Necrons, as starting out those rules felt daunting. Yeah. They're a bit daunting. Mr. Fish says, my buddy is excited for new knits for his Gene Stealers because he loves the Cthulhu vibes and the new faces with all the tentacles are perfect. Look at all the tentacles. So many tentacles. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and like target this wash a bit more in these recesses that I seemed to have completely missed for some reason. Just a little bit here. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to go back and work on the crown bit a little bit. Oh my goodness, I'm a train wreck today. Nids are fun to paint. Doing green here. Green. Hey, Alex, how's it going? Afternoon, morning? I'm kind of like on the cusp of both. Alright, so while we're waiting on that to dry, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start on this side, I think. I'm really interested to see if people are going to enjoy the podcast. I know we're just sort of like setting the stage this week for what's happening in the podcast in general, but I'm really excited to see if people start to dig it. Queen Bee says, so do you have any recommendations for paint schemes for NIDS? I haven't painted them before, and although I have seen a few different cool ones, I wanted y'all's opinion. I think that Tyranids are one of the factions that kind of allow you to explore your creativity and basically do like whatever you want, right? Because like you could go with all sorts of like crazy bug schemes. You could go with like crazy like crab and lobster type colors. You could just go completely avant-garde, and it all just kind of works with Tyranids. They're also like a little bit forgiving in that they are an organic creature. So if it's not absolutely 100% perfect, it like just kind of makes it look a little bit better, kind of. So I guess my advice would be like maybe pick a color scheme that you've always wanted to do and never had the opportunity to do it, and maybe try that, because yeah, I think that Tyranids are like the perfect vector for that idea. And like also like don't be afraid to go and like look in nature for cool color combinations. Alex says, hope you had a nice weekend. Just stopping by to say hello. Hello, Alex. I have another meeting in 5 minutes. Dang, just meetings all over the place. I did have a nice weekend. I basically just spent it, like, editing and cleaning. That's it. Brother of Titans. Yo, new podcast? Yes, so it was released to the patrons, last night, and it'll be coming out for everybody else, Thursday. Mr. Fish says, I'm going through a bit of analysis paralysis for Age of Sigmar. After painting 1,000 points of purple camel, I have no idea where I'm going to start with these gits. I know my basing theme though. Okay, so what's your basing theme? Coconut crab nids can be so pretty. They can, however, that is something that has been done a lot. So if doing something kind of unique is your thing, like you will see that scheme lots of places. I should paint them as lobsters, as that's my partner's favorite animal. You could, and lobsters come in all sorts of really beautiful colors. So you could go crazy. Mr. Fish says, literally all colors work with NIDS. Such fun bug models. Yes. And also says, I do so much nature research for my Blood Axe squigs. There you go. See? Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes Mother Nature gives you everything that you need. It's been an entire week since I've painted also. Like, I've just taken a week off. Um, Mostly because, like, I had so much stuff going on kind of behind the scenes that I just had to take, you know, a little bit of a break from painting to get that stuff sort of sorted. Um, Also, it's just been so hot. Like, it's hard to fight the paint. Like, I know when I need to fight the paint, I get like, it becomes a chore. So these painting streams are basically like the only painting that I've been doing this summer, which is funny because normally I'm kind of more prolific, but I'm sure like Instagram people are gonna be like, where'd she go? Oh, she left. She left. She ain't coming back. I'm just joking. Although real talk, I'm not really feeling Instagram because I can't like scroll my feed very much anymore, because it's all ads. So I don't really get to see anybody's cool stuff that I want to see. So I just don't ever think about like posting there anymore. It's kind of sad. It used to be such like a nice community for me. Now everybody wants to be an influencer and they all paint the same things and whatever the newest release is. I'm just getting kind of bored. If I even see their stuff at all. It's all ads. It's crazy. Doing winter themed gets. Alright. Hello, who took my dice? How's it going? Are you the kind of person that kind of likes the model to blend into the base? Or are you the kind of person that likes the model to stand out from the base? Because I usually like to have at least one color that's kind of like the opposite on the color wheel. So like my Custodes, for example, the bases match their armor in that, let's just grab this guy. So their armor is kind of like fiery fall colors. And so I've put some fall foliage on the bases as well. So then the accent color that's kind of the opposite on the color wheel is this like light kind of blue. So is that the kind of thing that you like to do? Or do you like everything to just kind of like blend? AOS has been pretty fun. I love AOS. I actually had a game of AOS yesterday. I've been playing the Night Haunt. Cause I like exclusively played ogres because they're like my favorite, my spirit animals. However, I feel like people were getting sick of playing against them because they're kind of strong right now. So I'm gonna commit to Night Haunt for a little bit. And I joined an escalation league, so I'm gonna have to paint some Night Haunt stuff, which I'm excited about. It's usually pretty fast paint job. So, but my first escalation is already painted, so I don't gotta paint nothing. I think my second escalation, I have to paint like 10 Blade Geists. I think the last time I painted Blade Geists 10 took like 2 days or something. So not too bad. Shouldn't be bad. Mr. Fish says, the heat had definitely been killing my urge to paint. I've built quite a bit recently to get prepped for AOS, but haven't painted for beans. That's hard to say because I do kind of both. I've thought about blue gobos, red, green, or blackish robes. Oh, we're back about the goblins, okay. And so many possible colors for Squig. I like blending in and standing out. Well, I mean, if you want to try new stuff, you could just go like completely different from how you did your orcs, because your orcs are very bright. So you could do like more muted stuff, or you could sort of lean into the bright as part of your personal style and do that as well. Ooh, spooky folks. Yeah. Yeah, they're really fun. So I actually lost my game yesterday because I made a stupid call on my last turn. But that's okay. I learned about it. I will probably not make that same mistake again. But yeah, I lost by 1 point, and I could have like won by 2 if I would have just sort of moved closer and was not afraid of the redeploy. Live and learn. Mr. Fish says, my orcs are really loud colors. But Kiddo's Death Guard are rusty, mucky dudes on mucky dirt. I would say, like, maybe just, I don't know, paint a couple models. Just pull a favorite color off and slap it on one of your gobos and see how you feel about it. Also helping with the painting class last week. It really made me realize that there's like a key concept when painting that I think we don't share with newer painters, and maybe it's because we don't think about it. But I saw so many of the painters like not bracing their brush hand. So basically, when I'm painting, I like to have like 3 points of contact. So for me, it's my arms are on my chair, and then I actually have 4 points of contact. Hand is on the desk, and then brush hand is braced on the other hand. And that's going to keep it nice and steady. I saw so many people painting like this with no brace, and it's like that's like my one tip is like if you want to increase your brush control is like make sure that you're actually bracing yourself. Um, Mr. Fish says, speaking of my next Sigmar game, it's Saturday and I'm versus Ma Tribe Ogres, so we will see who eats who first. Mr. Fish, you should have a pretty strong advantage in that matchup because you are fast. Yeah, your fast and your mortal wound output is very good. So, the only thing is if your Mod Tribes player is playing Beastclaw Raiders and is bringing 4 or 5 Blood Vultures on different units, you probably are going to have to hide your buffing characters from line of sight. Because once those characters are gone, and the Blood Vulture will just like, 4 or 5 of them will just come in and like target visible characters. So that might be the only issue that you have, but if you do your best, and they're tiny models usually, so as long as you do your best to like keep them out of line of sight of those Blood Vultures, or at least from all of them, you should be all right. Just put paint on it, indeed. But yeah, one of the better players on my, actually probably the best player on my ITC team, just doesn't really enjoy painting. So it was really good to see him at that painting seminar. It's good to be able to like give him some tips and tricks, and he's a chef, so he's like, I'll trade you cooking classes for like one-on-one painting classes, and I was like, I don't care to learn how to cook fancy. I cook like 1950s housewife meals. It's good enough for me. But um, but I'm not opposed to just doing one-on-one lesson. you know, he's helped me so much in my growth as a player that I feel like it would be like paying him back for his patience with me, you know? Mr. Fish says, the speed of squig riders are nuts. It is, yes. I do a lot of hiding with my current character roster, so hopefully squig and grot screens do the job. Yeah, I mean, if there's a Stonehorn, your screens, she's just gonna laugh at them. Um, but yeah, you've definitely got the tools to do it. How many nids in are you now anyway? I am just painting these. Like, I don't actually own nids, so this is all that I'm going to be painting from the Leviathan box. And yeah, I can't start another army. Like, I've got enough to paint. I've got to do a bunch of orcs still. I've got a Mega Armor Big Mech that is in the mail currently that I need to paint. I've got 10 Beast Snagas that I need to paint. I've got some Night Haunt coming up that I'm going to need to paint. So once these are done, I probably won't paint more nids unless you know, the time comes where I want something fresh for the stream. And Alex has something that I could paint. Oh, my music stopped. Oh no. I'm gonna have to fix that. I like how this is starting to look. It's very much starting to look like what I had in mind. And I really wanted to paint these like flesh, like I wanted to paint them the same color as the tentacles, and Alex was like, I don't think that is like flesh, I think it's bone. So I kind of I guess compromised by mixing the two colors. So hopefully he likes that result. Hopefully that is a fun, uh, like a fun result for him. Hopefully he doesn't make me repaint it, because that actually took a long time. That color was very difficult to work with over the flat surfaces. That's always kind of, I guess, the risk of sort of taking initiative with things and going off the script. You just never know if you're gonna have to like fix it. I see what I've seen what your Stonehorn was capable of. Like I said, squig soup or Orgru Nom Noms, there's sure to be some snacks. It's true. I'm really debating a random ale guzzler for the memes. Oh, I have one of those. Because you used to be able to take them. He's so dusty. Let me dust him off. Used to be able to take him as an ally for ogres. Well, actually, he wasn't even an ally. He was in the book. No, I think it was the first edition book that you could take him. And this is one of the first models I ever painted, which is like crazy. You guys want to see something that was one of my first models ever? Oh man, like I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I think I could do this better now, but... Okay, he is dusted. So, Ale Guzzler Gargant. Here's my boy. And yeah, he was hilarious. I think he still has the thing that, like, when he falls over, or when he dies, he falls over and does more damage to people. Which I absolutely love, but yeah. Even back then, I still had, like, my cel-shaded kind of style that I really liked to do. So, you know, I'm just leaning into that. But yeah, this is one of, like, the very first things that I ever really painted. I was probably, like, less than 30 models in at this time. But for future games, the Bag'em ability cracks me up. Totally. Okay. Back to the task at hand. And I think that, like, just the tone from, like, warm to cool shift, I think, like, that's gonna add so much interest, like, from the bone carapace to this. Just add so much interest. Gets drunk with gobos off mushroom brew, stomping and mucking about, and then, yeah, can't miss charge and fall on allies when it dies. Yeah. Destruction, I think, like, especially... So, this current battle tome for ogres, it really did make them, like, darker, which I get. Like, that's the tone, kind of, that GW are taking with Age of Sigmar, which I actually, I kind of dig. I kind of dig the dark lore and stuff that they're coming out with now. But in doing so, like, they kind of retconned a bunch of the lore that was really fun. Like, they just completely got rid of the Great Maw, which is kind of sad. But... And they used to worship the Great Maw, which was, like, a giant crater where an asteroid fell that, like, looked like a mouth with jagged teeth. But now they just follow Gorka Morka, and it's like, okay, I get it. Like, the whole the whole super faction destruction needs to follow, like, the same god or whatever. Like, I get it. I get it. It's just the Great Maw was really funny. I guess I could paint in line of sight. So if we look at those colors together, like, I think that they're close enough that most people, like, it won't be the focal point that this is a different color, but I think that it satisfies my want for that to be, like, more fleshy than bone. Yeah. My gits worship the baddest moon, a Necron Nightside. I did see that. Crash landed while fighting demons in the warp and showed them the power of the neon moon. There you go. That you have literally just figured out your color scheme. The neon moon. I would have like a glowing neon color that unites everything. Whatever the color is on the night side, bam. That's your like unifying color for your army. If they worship the neon moon, there you go. My fluff will always be silly no matter how grimdark it gets. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna just do a little bit on here. There's no way I'm getting this step done on stream. Forgot how like like tedious this style of painting is. Also, has everybody else noticed that like literally all of the good painters are trying to sell us on oils and stuff? I definitely feel like pressure from the good painters in my local sort of area to use oils, but everything that I've seen about them, I just don't think that it would like match my paint style in any way. Also, I don't want to wait for them to dry. But yeah, I do quite often feel like the miniature painting community, it's like they get an idea that like something is like the best. And for them, it quite possibly is the best. And then I feel like they just try to sell everybody on it. And it's like, well, not everybody has the same paint style. And I can see that the paint's starting to dry. Annoying. Sorry if someone asked already, but what blue did you use for the brains? What blue did I use for the brains? That's a good question. I think I used a base coat of Regal Blue by Game Color, and then I did some highlights of Model Color Royal Blue, and then I mixed in highlights with Royal Blue and Monument Hobbies Sky Blue. And then for like the membrane on the top, I think I added in some Celestra Gray. I don't remember, but like they're all mixed colors, but I think it's Celestra Gray that I mixed in to the royal blue in order to create the like striations in there. Mr. Fish says, I mean, that's also fair. Blue gets pink robes, green squigs, maybe purple, because you know I'm a sucker for purple. That's a lot of very neon colors. Would you do it like, so here's the thing, if you were gonna do neon colors, would you want it to have like a neon effect? Because with neon itself, the actual neon lights are actually pastel colors because they're like bright, closer to white, and then the glow color actually comes off of that onto the different off of like onto the different surfaces and stuff. So like, would you do the glow neon or would you do like the pastel-y actual light neon? These are the kind of things that I actually like to like. Well, what would I do if I had to make this scheme? I like to ponder this sort of thing. Um, Zero urge to move to oil painting. I'd try watercolor first. I mean, it's basically painting with washes, right? Rob says, I've seen oils and stuff on YouTube. I don't think anyone local to me has been pitching it. My local game store is owned by a very prolific painter who is very much into all of like the fancy paints and stuff. I don't want to have to buy all new stuff. Also, like my acrylic paint collection is ridiculous. Um, so yeah, and like everything that I've seen with oils, it looks very like desaturated colors, very like realistic looking, of course, which is not what I'm going for in basically any of my armies. Like I want brighter colors. And that's kind of always, I just really like really bright colors on the table. Like I really love being able to see exactly where my models are in the terrain. I don't want them to blend in. I want them to stand out and be proud. Yeah, this paint is not going to be workable for too much longer because the heat has been cooking all morning. This is about the time where like I have to put the paint down until much later, like until 10, because it's just too hot. I'm not gonna lie too, like I did think about getting like a very small kind of humidifier or something like that for my desk. So it's not like out of the realm of possibilities for me to have like a little mister or something at some point in the future. Mr. Fish says probably the pastel tones, but glow effects could be sick, right? Rob says, I'm thinking I'm making my squigs rainbow colored Skittle Squigs. And then the Gits themselves, the little baby Yodas, Grogu's. Aww, so cute. If I knew what I was doing, Synthwave Gits would look very unique. They would look amazing, Mr. Fish. Hey, Dr. Rhino, how's it going? I'm going to be lurking while in meetings, but just know I'm here for support. Aw, thank you, Dr. Rhino. You're the best. Okay. I have just a couple more minutes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this half of like the face carapace thing, and then I'm going to call it quits because my paint is struggling. It's a struggle bus. So I'm going to do as much as I can on this half, and then I'll have to shut it down. I also have like a bazillion things to do today, which is good. I like to stay busy. But sometimes I just like book everything on the same day for some reason, and that has happened today. And I just really like how painting these organic shapes is so much more freeing than painting like power armor and things like that. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little bit messy, um, and still looks good. All right. That's where I'm gonna call it. You can see the difference. Like, that looked okay. But now we're starting to get that like cell shaded look that I like so much. So off camera, I'll probably just finish all the rest of this. I mean, if I get time and if it cools down a little bit, I'm gonna work on this off camera. If not, then I'll just keep working on it next week. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming next week because I'm going to a tournament, and then like I might just be cooked on the Monday, so I'm not sure if I'll stream next week. But I mean, there'll be a podcast for you all to listen to instead. If you're looking for something to do at work, we could definitely do that. But yeah, so that's where we're going. That's how it's looking so far. I'm really enjoying where this model is going, so I am going to call it there. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, especially while I'm out of town, all notifications on basically everything is turned off. So, except for the Patreon Discord. So if you ever need to get in touch with me, that is the best way to do it. Like I said, I'm going to be out of town all weekend playing Warhammer, and, partying with my friends. So, I'm not really going to be around that much this week. But I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your week. I hope that you play games if you want to play games and paint minis if you want to paint minis. And until next time, everybody, be nice and roll dice. Bye, everybody.